different bases, so many veterans living in our state as well, which has caused me to continue to support the men and women who are posted overseas, and those who are here domestically as well on bases here in the United States, and of course our veterans. As we move toward Memorial Day, it's important that we look holistically at our military and look at them as an entity that includes personnel. I want to take note of the fact that there is a 2.1% pay increase for military personnel, and that this bill does update the Uniform Code of Military Justice to include new protections for victims of military sexual assaults. I am concerned, however, that the bill shortchanges war funding for efforts against ISIS and redirecting funds that should continue to be used for base budget projects that redirects that funding toward non-war related base budget projects. Let me be clear that I think some of these projects are very important, but I would have wanted this legislation to deal with the fight against ISIS and not go into the contingency fund. As I indicated, I heard the debate and there was some suggestion that the President's budget went into the contingency fund, but in the way that it is done in this bill, it is larger than should be. I also want to take note of the fact that an amendment is in the bill, and I have concerns and hope that we will be able to address it, because this amendment allows any religious corporation, religious association, religious educational institution, or religious society that receives a federal grant or grant to claim religious exemptions from anti-discrimination protections of LGBT individuals whom they may employ. I believe in the First Amendment and the separation of church and state, and as well religious freedom. But under the federal funding, where we as taxpayers have the responsibility not to discriminate against anyone, this goes against that duty. And it also undermines President Obama's landmark 2014 executive order banning all federal contractors and grantees from discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation or gender identity. So I'm hoping, Mr. Chairman, that we'll have the opportunity to work through this legislation and to move forward in a way that embraces all Americans. I do want to thank, however, the Chairman, Mr. Thornberry, and the Ranking Member, Mr. Smith, and the Rules Committee for making two of my amendments in order, that they're in the en bloc, number 1 and number 2.
Ms. expired.
Mr. Speaker, I yield the gentlelady from Texas, Ms. Jackson Lee, 1 minute.
Thank you.
Gentlelady is recognized.
The amendments are Amendments 8 and 9. Amendment 8 calls for outreach to small business concerns owned and controlled by women and minorities prior to conversion of certain functions to contractor performance. Amendment number 9 requires the Government Accounting Office to include in its annual report to Congress a list of the most common grounds for sustaining protests relating to bids for Congress. These are important amendments because they help to grow small business owned and controlled by women and minorities before conversation of certain functions of contractor performance. This amendment seeks to provide information to businesses that may have little experience in government contracting to make them aware of new opportunities. Amendment number 9 seeks a report to be provided to oversight committees to better understand the circumstances that impacts when a company wins a federal contract award that is challenged. These challenges often come from companies that are big, competing for the same contract, and little companies can't stand up. Successfully competing for a federal contract can be difficult and costly, especially for new entrants into federal contracting competition.
Time has expired.
So I would ask my colleagues to support the included amendments and look forward to us working through this bill on some of the issues of concern. I yield back.
Gentlelady